All right. Okay, it's top of the hour. I'm going to start admitting people. All right. Ready?
Hello,
Boom,
people.
boom.
Hello.
Here they come. Boom. Boom.
Press.
Hello,
everybody.
Okay,
Hello.
I have to mute somebody. I've got somebody's echoing. Hi, Jeanette. Hi, Elizabeth. Sarah, Tammy. Hello, Annie. Welcome to Sunday Funnies. Does anybody else remember the Sunday Funnies did you have Sunday Funnies?
Like
Well,
the comics from the
in
paper?
the
Yeah, the
newspaper?
comic strips from newspapers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's funny, I Googled Sunday Funnies yesterday because I was trying to remember which comics were in, and it turns out that actually Sunday Funnies was something that was created, I think, in the 80s or 90s, and it looks so dated, and it was just, but comic strips, of course. Anyway, so I have this weird memory of something that isn't what it was, but I do remember reading the comics on the weekends. So welcome, everybody. Lainey Davis, Valerie Pepper, Liz Alden, and Karen White all have new releases this month. And Lainey, is yours actually, it's releasing this month?
So it'll launch on Kickstarter exclusively on May 9th, and then it'll come to retailers in June.
In June. Okay, I thought yours might be a little later.
Mine is the one that's Tuesday.
Yes. And if you love Liz's reading, which I'm sure you will, you're also doing another reading on Thursday this week.
Yes, I am, with Romance Happy Hour and with you, Danica.
With me. Yes. So we'll get to read together on Thursday. Romance Happy Hour is a Facebook group run by, oh my God, I can see the name in the words in my head. Dylan Crush.
And Dawn Ludicky.
Thank you, Dawn Ludicky. Yeah.
Nice pronunciation.
And it's super fun. And Lainey and Karen have both read on Romance Happy Hour before.
It was so fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Danica,
all right. Well,
have you read on it before?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I have too. So we're all returnees.
So we're all returnees. But
yeah.
Hey, Catherine Fox in Nova Scotia. Hello.
Oh, hey.
Looks like
Catherine
a gorgeous
Fox?
day.
It's beautiful though. I'm sitting outside. I have to put myself on mute because my pie plates are banging against the windows to keep my woodpeckers away. So pretty noisy. But can you hear them?
No. I noticed today, Catherine, you've got a BookBub feature deal.
Oh, it's great.
Congratulations.
I do. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, let's get rolling. We have got the order of books being read today. We're starting with Karen. What book are you reading? Now, Karen, I guess just tell me a couple of words about what kind of books you're writing. I just listened to one of your audiobooks, by the way, which I loved.
Awesome.
Spin Me Round. Spin Me Round. That's what it's called, right? It's the
You
DJ.
Spin Me.
You Spin Me, right? You Spin Me. You Spin Me. I loved it.
Thank you.
So, and no surprise that Karen does audiobooks, even though you don't narrate your own, but you are a professional narrator, book narrator, as well as a fabulous author. So just tell us a little bit about you and then roll into your reading.
So my real name is Karen White. And Karen Gray is my author name because my real name was taken by someone else who's a quite well-known women's fiction author. So Karen Gray, my daughter suggested Karen Beige, but I felt Karen Gray was a better, easier to market than Beige. So I write, I don't know why, but I do write books set in the 80s and 90s. I think because I really need to escape not only into romance, but years into the past to get away from the shit show that is the world right now. So that's about the spiciest word that's going to come out of my mouth for my reading today, because I'm starting with the prologue. I am going to be reading from the third novel in my 90s series, and it's called I Want It That Way. And I'm going to read from the prologue, starting with the female character's point of view. And this takes place in, the prologue takes place in October of 1997. Danny. When I signed on to this made-for-TV movie production as personal driver for Lucas Keith, as in the Lucas Keith, aka the actor famous for his role as Joey in Our House, it wasn't like I expected him to be exactly like his character, you know, cheeky but adorable, beloved by all. After all, I've been driving for movies and TV shows here in Wallington for a few years now. I've had plenty of opportunities to be disenchanted by famous people. Even if it were my first time, I get that an actor's personality is likely to be very different from the roles they play. I'm still disappointed by the real Lucas Keith. Maybe it was because Lucas was Joey right there in our living room for most of my childhood and adolescence, so it was like we'd grown up together. Maybe it was because my friend Violet, who worked as a casting assistant on the movie, told me that Lucas would be playing a role just like Joey. So I'd figured he hadn't been acting all those years, that he'd always been playing himself. Maybe it was because he was even better looking in person. It's not that he's been obnoxious or anything. He didn't hit on me or ask me to buy him drugs or throw up in my car, all things that have happened with previous clients. He's just been borderline rude. Every single day it's the same. He gets in the car, mumbles a greeting without making eye contact, and then slumps down in the back seat to bury his nose in a script. When we arrive at his destination, he mutters a thank you and practically runs away from the car, like I've got the plague or something. He never says anything else, not even to arrange the next pickup. The second AD does it for him. I don't know what is up with the guy, but the tension he carries around with him is exhausting. So even though I'll miss the extra income, I have to say I'm relieved as I pull into the driveway of the beach house rental he's got for today's final pickup. Once I drop the guy off at the Wallington airport, I'll never have to deal with him again. He appears at the top of the stairs the moment I shut off the car and insists on loading his own bags into the trunk. But once inside the car, he hides behind a script again. After the first few days, when he made it clear that attempts at making conversation were not welcome, like dealing with a peon like me is beneath him, I quit trying. But seriously, he can't be learning lines now. The movie wrapped yesterday. Already preparing for the next role? I ask, against my better judgment. Yep. He pops the P at the end of the word so aggressively. I know I should let it go, but I can't seem to stop my mouth. Is it any good? He doesn't answer. And when I glance in the rearview mirror, he's white-knuckling the script. Reminding myself that my only job is to get him to the airport, I keep my mouth shut for the rest of the drive. After I park by the departure sign, I pop the trunk and paste on a professional smile, just counting the seconds until this job is over. He's out of the car and dealing with the sky cap by the time I turn the key, and I debate whether I should even get out. It's not like the time when I drove the actress who shared every detail of her mother's battle with cancer, who cried as she hugged me before she went through those doors. Or even the aging British cinematographer who told me so many hilarious stories that I wanted to adopt him as my grandpa, who invited me to visit anytime I was over the pond. I'm not even sure Lucas Keith knows my full name, and I'll be doing my best to forget him once those sliding doors close behind his very fine ass. He proves the truism. Not all pretty faces have personalities to match. Danielle, the pretty face in question, dominated by soulful blue eyes framed by chestnut brown brows, suddenly appears in the open passenger side window. He's never looked at me directly when he says my name, and the force of his attention pins me to my seat. Sir, a man calls, your baggage claim. Can you wait a sec? He asked me. I have something for you. He jogs away, and it's like the sun disappearing behind a cloud. Everything dims a little bit for a few moments. When he returns, sliding into the front seat and turning that intense gaze back on me, I'm not only blinded by its force, I suddenly don't know what to do with my hands. Meanwhile, my heart's like the rabbit my dog Sky chased around the backyard last week, desperate to get away, racing from one side of my chest to the other. The blood pumping through my veins is so loud, I have to lean closer to hear what he's saying. But that just puts me in range of his scent, which riles up parts of me that have been dormant so long I thought they'd expired. You can open it. His hushed tone wraps around my shoulders like a favorite sweater on the first chilly day of autumn, making me want to snuggle closer. If you want. You don't have to, he continues, almost like he's nervous. I usually just get my driver a nice bottle of booze or something, but I don't know. I thought you might appreciate these. I actually had fun hunting them down. My cheeks could set fire to an ice cube, but curiosity is going to kill this cat if I don't open the gift, so I just rip into the paper. When I see what's inside, I literally gasp. I hope you like them. His voice now tentative, he leans closer to lift the collection of neon sticky notes from the box, only to reveal another in pastels. Wow, is the only response I seem capable of uttering. Maybe it's dumb, he says, sounding so vulnerable that my gaze tracks to his face where his expression is equally unsure. But I noticed how you use sticky notes to organize your planner, and I thought the different colors would be useful. He's waiting for a response. I know he is, but I'm afraid if I say anything, I might cry. I mean, it's just paper, but it's like the guy sees me. The guy who I didn't think even knew my name has peered into my heart, examined my soul, and given me the perfect gift. But feel free to toss them if you don't like them. He reaches for the box like he's going to take it away from me, and I clasp it to my chest before he can. His hands go up in surrender, and he laughs. The sound like rain in spring. I was just going to point out that I did leave you a tip in the box as well, in case you were going to throw it away. A car beeps behind us, and he looks back like he too forgot where we were. Okay, well, he hooks a thumb behind him. Gotta catch my flight. He climbs out of the passenger seat, closes the door, and then leans down, meeting my gaze again. You take care, Danny. I'd been planning to pull away from this drop-off with a good riddance, but now I can't stop watching as he walks away. When he reaches the automatic doors, the idea that I'll never see him again hits me like a rogue wave. He raises his hand to stop the doors from closing and turns around. He waves, but he doesn't turn to leave until I raise a hand and wave back. Only then does his hand drop. He nods once, looking almost relieved, and then he's gone. That's it.
Yay, that was so great. Oh,
Here.
Thank you.
That was
let me
so
go.
great. I don't listen to audiobooks, but after just hearing you do that, I want to go listen to all your audiobooks. You are fantastic.
Oh, thank you. Well, I only narrate the first one, the female character's point of view in the first one. But I do have, if I say so myself, fabulous narrators for all my audiobooks. I work very hard to find ones to cast them well. But oh, thank you, Annie. So anyway, yes, thank you. It's I do write thinking about them coming alive. And as I was reading, I was like, it's a good thing this thing isn't back from the proofer because I need to fix a few things.
So fun. Does anyone have a question for Karen? I've got a couple if nobody else does, but does anyone have something to ask Karen?
I have a question,
Oh, okay.
if I may. Karen, I was wondering how you track or add all of your nostalgia and cultural references to your books. I fortunately got to read this entire book earlier, and I know it's just chock full of all of these 90s references. So how did they come to you as you write, or do you jot them down and insert them later, or what's your process?
Well, despite how I try, I am not a plotter. I am what's called in the writing world a pantser. So it's a little bit of everything. I write in Scrivener, which is a really nice organizational tool in and of itself. So I have all these research documents, and anytime I have to look up, like I have one for 90s style, 90s slang, 90s TV shows, 90s movies. This, for some reason, there is no music in this one. I guess I just wasn't thinking music wise. So it's, I think, and I really stuck mostly with movies and TV because it's about an actor. This is the only book in this series that's an who has an actor character. The others all work behind the scenes like Danny does. She's also a location scout. So I think that's why those were in my head. But so I have that, and I also have Southern slang. So sometimes I try to I slip those in. But like I actually watch a lot of when I'm working on these, I watch a lot of movies and TV. So I've been watching Seinfeld and Ally McBeal lately because they just popped up on Netflix. And as I'm watching them, I'm like, oh, I got to include that thing. Oh, I got to include that thing. And so then I have those notes. And then every morning when I write by hand, that's when those kind of things tend to come in. But sometimes they also just come to me. But I try to sort of marinate myself in the era. I did the same thing with my 80s series by watching, again, mostly movies and TV and some music. So does that answer your question? I also have to thank Liz because after her reading, she gave me an idea, which was fabulous, which I took. I totally moved around the end of my book at her suggestion. So it is a better book because of her.
Yay. Jeanette, you unmuted. Did you have a question for Karen too?
Yes, I do. Thanks for reading that. That was highly entertaining. I just loved that. Could you talk a little bit about what makes what you just read a prologue?
Oh, because the book starts, if it's not obvious, she is going to see him again, 2 years later.
Oh, okay.
So this is when they work together the one time, and then 2 years later, you find she has a problem that she needs to solve, that he turns out to be one of the best way to help solve it, or being in a fake marriage with him turns out to be the best way to solve it. That's not too much of a spoiler. And we learn a lot about why he seems to be such a jerk in the car. So
okay.
and I'm not going to reveal that. You have to read the book to find out.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And Valerie, I write by hand in the morning. Like it's like what morning pages, if you ever heard of. So in the morning, I write every day. And then I like do stars and I dog ear the page when there are little ideas that need to be put into a book. But no, I don't write the whole book. Right?
That's what I thought. I was like, wow. I mean, that would take me forever if I did that. So.
Yay. Thank you, Karen. Thanks.
Thank you.
Over to, who did we say next? Lainey. Lainey, you're coming up.
Hi, I am Lainey Davis, and I live in Pittsburgh, and all my books are set in Pittsburgh, and I love everything about Pittsburgh. And so the book that I'm going to read from is book 4 in my series in progress called Bridges and Bitters, which all the books are kind of centered in a bar of that name. And it's a series that follows this group of found family. So it's just a group of women best friends. And in this book, Esther, the bar owner, is going to be it's a marriage of convenience novel. And I'm going to read a chapter from Koa's point of view, and he is a person from New Zealand. He's Maori, and I'm not going to attempt his accent at all. So I'm just going to read it as me, but it is a Koa chapter that I'm going to read. And this chapter begins 5 years earlier. I drop my bag on the tile floor, and the sound echoes through the empty walls. This is it. My last look at my parents' house before the new owners walk through and sign the papers. They better sign the damn papers. It took ages to sift through all the knickknacks and socks, cooking pots, and my mom's entire drawer full of erasers. For a pair of professed world travelers, they managed to accumulate entirely too much crap. I donated almost all of it. I can't hang on to any more than I can fit in a storage pod. I have no idea how much longer I'll be able to stay in my flat after graduation. It's been nearly 4 years since my parents died, and I've spent the entire time putting off dealing with this estate. Seemed fitting. They spent 5 years putting off dealing with my citizenship papers and died before they started the job. I take one last look around, shake my head, and snap off the lights. I wonder briefly that I never got round to thinking of this as my house. It's always been theirs, but that's always meant I haven't had a place to think of as home. I say New Zealand is home, but I don't know that that really feels that way to me either. How many memories of Aotearoa are real, and how many are fairy tales I've created? I hoist the tote bag of the last of my parents' parental souvenirs onto my shoulder and set off on foot for the nearest dive bar. Mercifully, when I push through the door of the cage, it's a ghost town. No sports on TV tonight, no fried food special, just me and this cracked pleather bar stool. I'll take a picture, I say to the barkeep without glancing up. And then I glance. And then I keep on staring. Hey there, pet, I say, leaning on my accent as I try to reverse course. This woman is gorgeous. Lush curves, tight jeans, and enough dark hair to cover my torso. Not your pet. She slams the plastic pitcher in front of me with a splash and moves down the bar to wash a few glasses. I pour myself a cup of terrible beer and watch her. She'd be a terrific distraction from the mess of my paperwork situation. Like what you see? She arches a brow when she catches me staring, but I don't look away. Yeah, I say. Things are looking pretty good from where I'm sitting. She doesn't comment on my accent like most girls in this country, doesn't flutter her lashes or ask where I'm from. She doesn't say anything at all as she keeps herself busy cleaning and organizing, tidying stacks of cash from the register and pocketing the tip jar. I look over my shoulder and confirm I am definitely the only patron. Is she here alone in a dive bar after midnight? Tony's in the kitchen and I'm pretty good with a blunt object, so don't get any ideas. I hold my hands up. My ideas were simply concern for your safety. Glad you got Tony here. It's a lie. I hate Tony, whoever he is, for his proximity to this woman, because her lips form his name in any capacity. I lean my elbows on the bar and take a sip of my beer. I'm Koa. She carries a tray of dirty dishes toward the back and kicks open the swinging door, emerging a few seconds later with a bar towel between her hands. I give her my best smile. Still here, Koa? My grin stretches even further, hearing her say my name. Yeah. Got to finish this picture, don't I? She stretches to look at my progress. Well, you got half an hour. Better get to it. I hadn't realized it was quite this late, but I'm in no mood to rush. Slowly sipping watery beer while I stare at this gorgeous bartender beats dragging my bag of memories back to an empty apartment. I take another swig. Aren't bartenders usually quite talkative? She puts a hand on one hip. You gonna tip me more if I tell you I like your eyes? That draws a laugh from me, and I slap a 20 on the bar. She yanks it away, opens the till, and raises another eyebrow at me as she counts out the change. You can keep it all if you tell me your name. How much is mine if I tell you to mind your own business? I shrug. All of it, I guess. Can I tell you a secret? She leans forward on her elbows. They all do, sweetheart. They all do. I set my cup down and lean closer. Well, at the risk of being boring, I hate tipping. Loathe it. You shouldn't have to be nice to me for money. Koa, I haven't been nice to you at all. You remembered my name, though. We're making progress. She busies herself a bit more, and I sip my drink, biding my time. So where do you come from that there's no tipping? You looking to make a move? She shrugs. I smile. New Zealand, I tell her. They pay people a living wage there. She sniffs. Must be nice. I sigh. I wouldn't really know. Haven't been back since I was young. Well, I haven't been anywhere since I was young, so I guess we have that in common. Maybe someday we'll go to the South Island together and not tip. She's constantly in motion, wiping surfaces and organizing pens. I'm about to accept defeat and leave, but she says, it's not a bad idea, paying the staff enough that they don't depend on tips. Want me to tell your manager to give you a raise? She laughs. You're welcome to try. She looks at the clock above the register, shrugs, and grabs a plastic cup from the stack by the register. She meets my eye and pours herself a few ounces from my pitcher. Esther, My name's Esther. I raise my cup to her and she taps hers against it. Tell me more about your ideas, Esther. You going to manage this place and pay the staff better? She shakes her head and wipes her mouth with the back of her hand. Not this place, no. She bites her lip like she's already said too much, but then decides to plow ahead. Someday I'll have my own spot though, and I will pay a living wage, and I'll charge accordingly for the drinks. A thought occurs to me as she talks about wanting her own place, and I glance at her left hand in curiosity. No ring. So I might not be here to visit your swanky new bar where you can be a smart mouth and still pay the rent. Ah, but I'm going to own the building. She smiles dreamily. No rent for me. We both laugh. I wait a beat and she asks, where are you heading that you'll miss my grand opening? The thing is, Esther, I've overstayed my welcome here. At the cage? Nah, you got another 10 minutes. I shake my head. Here, like America. She frowns. They're kicking you out? I wag a finger at her. No, I just don't have permission to stay here anymore. I wait for her to ask me questions, to indicate in some way that she wants to hear all about my parents dying before we dealt with my citizenship, how I coasted through university as a guest in the country I'd called home for a decade, with no real connection to the land we left behind. Esther doesn't ask, so I just say, I've got a proposition for you. Did I mute myself?
There. Yay! Let me just go back to gallery view. Yay! Fun. And that was how many years later? This was a 5 years earlier, or
That was 5 years earlier.
5
Yep.
years earlier. Cool. Questions for Lainey? Annie says she loves the series and can't wait for Esther's story.
Oh, yay.
And this one is coming out as a Kickstarter. So tell us, this is going to be your third Kickstarter campaign.
Yeah, I'm into it. I really like this direct sales model. You know, stuff with retailers are a little bit in and out, and it's just very confusing time right now, but I'm really having fun with Kickstarter. So the ebook and the paperback will be on Kickstarter, and then I will have a wedding welcome box with gifts inspired by the story, so people can read along and
All made in Pittsburgh, right?
Almost everything. Yeah, there is one thing that I'm ordering, but yeah.
Lainey did a very cool thing with her first Kickstarter where she took one of her books. There it is, the Flippy Floppy book.
Yeah, I'm not doing that this time.
Any other questions? Or I've got a couple of questions I can ask you. Like, let me just make sure no one else
is going to do the audio. Well,
has.
I have not started the audio for this series yet, but I use Blue Nose Audio Productions, and they have in the past assured me that they can find someone to do any type of voice. So I'm sure that Joe Arden will find a Maori performer who's in the SAG-AFTRA union to be co-op.
I want to ask you if you believe, do you believe in happily ever afters, or are you more of a realistic thinker around that?
I do believe in happily ever after. I have been with my husband for more than half of my life, and he still plays pranks on me all the time, which is my love language. And just the other day, he threw a glass of cold water on me while I was in the shower, and
and you met in high school, right?
No, we met at college and did not like one another. Suffered through one another's presence, bowling for a couple of years, and then I don't know, maybe enemies to lovers. Yeah, there was one moment where I had a double ear infection and I needed someone to drive me to the pharmacy, and he agreed to drive me to the pharmacy to get the medicine.
And that was the beginning?
I stopped hating him at that point.
That is fabulous.
That sounds like a sick bed scene, hero to the rescue right there. So yeah.
You got all the tropes in your life.
How fun. All right. Thank you, Lainey. And if anyone, actually, we should be putting links in too. Did you want to put in a link I can do that or you can, to your Kickstarter.
Here's
So
the link
folks,
to the-
because
this
if
will
you're
take you to
interested,
Kickstarter. Yeah.
yeah, you can follow along so that you'll get a notification when it goes live. Is that not right, Katie?
That is correct. I will launch it on Tuesday, May 9th. So it'll be like a book launch.
Yeah. And then Karen too, put your link
Oh,
in for
okay.
your book, please. All right. All right. We're over to Liz Alden reading next.
Hi, everyone. I am Liz, and I write wanderlust romances with a happily ever after. I do this because I actually live on a sailboat, which is why I have this gorgeous backdrop here, because it is very bright and very sunny, and I'm basically outside right now. I've got a little bit of a breeze blowing my hair. But all of my books are set on adventures based on my real life. So this is my Love and Wanderlust series, 4 novels set on adventures around the world, and some of them are set on sailboats. But I have a book coming out on Tuesday, which is called Rosé with My Fake Fiancé. And it is a later in life romantic comedy. So my heroine is 42 years old, and she is meeting and falling in love with Luke, who is 31. So he's a younger man. The whole series is a set of best friends who are going to Europe for a year to live in different cities, and then they get together every week. So the setting of this first book is their first weekend together in Paris. And I'm actually going to drop you in right in the middle of the action because this scene is just so fun. The setup is that Tessa and Luke are faking an engagement because her ex has shown up in her favorite city in the world with his new younger fiance. And Luke volunteers for the job to make her ex jealous. So then they garnered an invitation to a super ritzy engagement party for Tessa's ex. So that is where we are setting this. All 4 best friends together, getting ready to have a night out. All right, Luke. This is Luke's perspective. And I'm not going to do a French accent, so sorry. We pass through the bouncer. Our name is on the list for James's party, and he gives us wristbands, and follow a hostess to one of the VIP rooms, passing beneath enormous chandeliers. A dancer hangs from the largest one, hanging from her feet, which are tangled in a black silk ribbon. Gilded mirrors line the walls and make the space seem enormous. It's very Versailles meets sex dungeon. The VIP room is not as packed with people as the main floors. We get served drinks immediately, and I am thrilled to learn that it is paid for. They must be spending a fortune on this party. Drinks in hand, we wade through to the glass balcony overlooking the main dance floor. Emma's next to me, and her mouth makes a perfect O as she gazes down at the masses. House music floods the giant room, the pulse vibrating down to my chest. Tessa curls her arm around my waist, and I return the side embrace with my arm around her shoulder. To everyone in this room, we're a couple, and the thought sends a flutter up my chest. After the initial excitement wears off, we meet a few people around us, small talk presides, and no one asks Tessa and me how we met. Jade disappears as we all talk about the music, the party, the people. I feel like a wolf in sheep's clothing. I had already suspected that Tessa was out of my league, but watching her, dressed up like she belongs here, happily chatting with her friends at one of the hottest clubs in Paris like it's nothing, doesn't sit well with me. Her photos on Facebook didn't help either. Her family looks rich and wholesome, and Tessa a carbon copy of her mother, who looks refined like my grandmother, but in a colder way. There are pictures at galas and charity events, Tessa raising money for those less fortunate. I am glad Mame called in a favor. Bernice owns a secondhand shop down the street, and at my grandmother's request, met us there and opened her doors after hours for us. It's high-end clothes, and though Mame combs through it every week, she rarely buys anything. Bernice calls her when something she might like comes in. The clothes I'm wearing now make me fit right in. Bernice assured me I can clean them and return them to her, which means it didn't cost me a thing. I'm jarred out of my thoughts by Jade's return. She holds a tray of shots, neon green. I'm thankful for something to do. Can we go downstairs to dance? Jade asks. She's been swaying and moving ever since we got here, and she gazes hopefully at Tessa. But it's Sarah who answers. 2 shots, finish your drink, and then yes. We each grab the tiny plastic shot glasses and raise them in a toast. I don't know what I'm drinking, but it's potent and sickly sweet as it slides down my throat. Tessa turns down the next shot and Emma just shrugs and takes it instead, hammering down 2 in a row, a move that surprises her friends. Jade washes down the shot with her gin and tonic, holding up the empty glass when she's done. We move down to the dance floor, Tessa's fingers twined with mine. When there's room, I twirl her, and she laughs, though I can barely hear it over the music. Gracefully, she spins toward me, her back to my front, and my hands go to her hips. With Tessa's head on my shoulder, her ass fitting into me perfectly, I'm barely aware of anything around us. I let my nose run up the shell of her ear, my eyes half closed while I breathe her in. Her ass is giving me ideas. Lots of them. Ideas that make me think about this beautiful, poised woman getting filthy with me. I wasn't expecting a second night with Tessa, never mind getting to see her dressed up, so sexy and beautiful while she dances. I want to strip her down, spend some time with Tessa's body, uninterrupted time where I can make her limp and satisfied. This dancing, though, is torture. I'm hard for at least a dozen songs. We're both sweaty, and I just want to get Tessa alone. We weave our way off the dance floor and up the stairs. It's blissfully quieter in the stairwell, and I tug on Tessa's hand. She slows, and we fall back from her friends and linger in the stairwell. You're quite the dancer. She laughs. I love it. I haven't danced in ages. Maybe we'll go back after our water break. Tessa's leaning against the wall, and with me being a few centimeters taller than her in her heels, she has to look up to meet my eyes. We're quiet for a few moments, tucked into this corner of the landing. I can hear the music pumping from below, laughter and conversation from the room half a floor above us. All of that fades away as I step closer, placing my hand on Tessa's hip, smoothing my fingers over the fabric and warm skin underneath. Her eyes widen, her chin tilting further up, her soft lips just begging for me to taste them. I do. I meet her parted lips with mine and swallow the small sound of surprise she makes. Her lips are just as soft as I thought they'd be, the mild flavor of cosmetics giving way to sweetness and warmth. Tessa clutches at me and opens her mouth, pulling me closer and deeper into her. It's just my tongue now, but I want more of me inside of her, thrusting and wet and heavy. I want to take Tessa home and make her scream. Voices get louder and laughter erupts, reminding me that we're in public. One of those voices sounds familiar too. When the person comes into view, it's James. I glance back at Tessa. A possessive wave rolls over me. She's disheveled, her lips swollen from the kiss and her eyes dazed. I did that to her. She notices James, her eyes sharpening. I look back in time to see him realize who we are, just as he's about to set foot on the first stair above the landing. He falters for a moment and then continues, still talking. He's got a good poker face, but I saw a flash of something. I turn back to Tessa. Her eyes are closed, and I slide my hand up her neck and use my thumb to tilt her chin up so I can take her mouth again. My first thought is that I hope he turns around and sees us, but that fades away because all that really matters is that I'm kissing Tessa. This time it's sweeping and stroking, long kisses that light me up, and I barely notice as the voices fade into the party upstairs. But they do, and I break away from her, grinning and pleased with myself. Come on, I say, stepping away and offering her my hand. Let's go catch up to your friends. We find Emma and Tessa seated on a couch, a low table in front of them. Tessa sits in one of the upholstered chairs across from them, and I perch on the arm of the chair. Jade went to get water, Sarah explains, and in a few moments, Jade is there passing out water bottles. She's frowning, and after a few sips, she speaks. I bumped into Yumi at the bar. I don't think she knew who I was. Tessa grimaces. How did that go? Jade's eyes flick to the other side once, and Tessa's mouth tilts into a frown. Jade squares her shoulders and sets her jaw. We got to talking, and Tessa, they've been dating for 8 months. Emma gasps, and Tessa falls back against the chair. I remember our conversation yesterday where Tessa said they'd broken up 5 months ago. I put a hand on her shoulder, wanting to comfort her. All she wanted was a fun weekend with her friends, and it's been hit after hit. I want nothing more than to wipe it all away for her. Jade notices my touch and gives me a small smile of gratitude. He was cheating on me? Jade paces the small space in front of the couch, and Sarah and Emma touch Tessa, comforting hands surrounding her. There's more. Jade's voice is tight and strained. I don't think she knew you two were still dating. She made some comment, and I couldn't quite catch it over the music, but it was something about James, and she shakes her head. Sorry, I should have asked her to repeat it, but I just wanted to get the hell away from her. There's a moment of quiet where we can all hear the beat, where all I can hear is the beat of the music, and Jade and Sarah's awkward glances at me are nearly audible even over that noise. Until something behind me catches Sarah's eye. Oh shit, they're coming over here. Someone, I don't know, laugh? Emma busts out a cackle, and it's so loud and unexpected that it even makes Tessa crack a grin. A wobbly one, but still. Girls, looking lovely this evening. Tessa? James nods at her, a swarmy smile in place. Cheater, a nasty voice in my head says. And Luke, was it? At my glare, he ignores me and turns to introduce Emma, Sarah, and Jade to his fiancé. We've met, Jade says, baring her teeth in a smile that's more threatening than friendly. And Yumi's own smile fades, her eyebrows knitting together in confusion over Jade's bitter tone. Tessa, James starts, and I feel a warning in my gut that Tessa's going to be hurt once more before he leaves us. I called my mom last night and mentioned that I saw you here. She was surprised to hear that you were engaged now. He rolls the ice in his glass as he gestures at me. She called your mom, and imagine our surprise when your mom didn't know a thing about Luke either. I would think your mom would know about your fiancé. Hell, I'm sure my mother would remember you even mentioning that you were dating someone, but she doesn't. Funny that. Tessa's entire focus is on her ex-boyfriend. Her confusion and disbelief from before morphed into something that's sharpened and honed. James chuckles, totally unaware of how big of a moron he is. Tessa rises to her feet. Emma and Sarah pop up next to her, and Jade folds her arms and glowers at James. As much as I love your mother, James, surely you wouldn't expect me to tell her I've moved on to someone else. She knows that we've broken up. I bet she even remembers the date we broke up. Tessa seethes. Jade grins, and I chuckle under my breath, but Tessa's not done. She probably remembers the date we broke up, and I bet she remembers the last time I stayed the night at your parents' house and we shared the bedroom. I bet she remembers hinting to you to propose soon so that there would still be time to get the announcement in the Chronicle before the flood of Valentine's Day proposals filled it up. James' mouth flops a bit, and for a moment I feel bad for Yumi because she's gone pale. While Tessa wanted to be James' fiancé, Yumi is, and she's just been told that she was the other woman. Emma hooks her arm through Tessa's and says stiffly, "Thank you for the invitation." Sarah hooks Tessa's other side. "Don't invite us to the wedding." "You deserve better," Jade shouts over her shoulder to Yumi as we head for the door.
Oh, that's fabulous. What is that word? Suspense.
Ah, thank you.
Yay.
I really like a he gets his due moment, you know.
100%. Yeah. I could see that one coming. It's like, oh no. Does anyone have a question for Liz?
I do. Liz, all your books have these lovely networks of female friends. I noticed that in your Wanderlust series. Is that something that you have, even though you're a digital nomad, as you say, or, you know, where does your inspiration come for your girl groups?
Thank you. I love my girl groups. This one is, I think, the best one. Tessa and her friends are inspired by Sex and the City. So there is a Samantha, and she's Jade, and she's getting the last book in the series, and she is a hoot. And in terms of my own life, it's kind of an interesting thing because I live on a sailboat. I'm in the Bahamas right now, and keeping in touch and keeping consistently with friends is really hard. So I have a few really old friends that I am close-knit with and still keep in touch with them like on a monthly basis maybe, but a lot of people come and go from my life often, and I probably would say that I have a lot of friends, but I don't get to see them hardly ever, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, I can't imagine that lifestyle. I mean, I'm a good hermit, but it still feels a little, I don't know. I guess, did Zoom help you feel more connected to people with the
Zoom does help. Yeah. I'm a very extrovert. So in certain scenarios, there are places that work really well for me. So right now I'm in kind of like the big city of Georgetown, Bahamas, and there's a lot of other boats around, and so there's people in kind of like a transient community, which is really nice, and so there's like people to say hello to and stuff to do, which is great. But yeah, it's a lot of newness all the time.
Thank you. And that book comes out on Tuesday, so
Yes.
let's drop the
and
link.
I've got the link.
Yay. And then if you want to hear, are you going to do a reading from a different chapter on Thursday or the same chapter on Thursday at Romance?
I think I'm going to do a different chapter, as much as I like Luke and Tessa's first kiss, but I'll do a different chapter. On Thursday.
It's a steamy story, I'm imagining.
Yes, it is very, very steamy.
Yes. All right. All right. And thank you, Liz. Now over to Valerie, whose first reading?
Yeah. Yeah.
First reading.
Yeah.
Valerie's first book, first rom-com. Tell us about you and this book, and then hop into the reading for us.
Okay, so even though I've been writing for over 20 years, this is actually the first book that I published. So this is The Widow's Guide to Second Chances, and it is the first in at least 3-book series called Guided to Love. There's a prequel novella that people can get if they sign up for my newsletter. And this particular book and the whole series is set in Talladega. So it's a small town series. You get lots of small town shenanigans, all the little people running around sticking their nose in everybody's business. So this particular book is a second chance romance, obviously. And our heroine, Devin, her husband died about 5 years ago. She spent 5 years kind of running from the truth and not really wanting to face lots of things. But like any good romance novel, her grandmother has passed away and left her a house, and that demands that she come home for at least 6 months. So Devin has come home kind of against her will, and she spent the first night in the house. And I'm going to drop us in to the meet cute because that's always fun. So she's woken up and she realizes that she doesn't have any coffee. So she wants to go to the coffee shop that naturally is owned by her dead husband's sister. So she's already a little nervous about seeing the sister. She, as she starts to walk there, this tiny little dog also befriends her and keeps her company. She gets to the coffee shop. She gets kind of overwhelmed and she's ready to leave. So that's where we're going to start. Jody's the sister. Jody stood with me, not seeing my distress. Oh, you have to go. Lots to do at Gigi's house, she gushed. I'll see you tomorrow morning though, right? I nodded distractedly as she followed me to the door. Come earlier tomorrow. It's Sunday and you can have those scones that Gigi used to love. She pulled me into another long embrace. Finally, I pushed the door open and yanked myself out of her hug while still walking. Oh, wait, her eyes widened. I'm good. I gotta go. I walked like a woman on a mission because I was, and that mission was to leave with all of my limbs and emotions intact. Samson, she yelled as she reached for me. Who was Samson? It didn't matter. I darted out of her reach like a ninja. Okay, bye. I turned and my foot promptly knocked into a tiny, grungy, four-legged terror. Oh no. I flailed and shrieked, losing my balance and hitting the pavement with my knees, palm, and chin. Ow, I moaned. In front of me, the coffee gurgled out of the to-go cup's lid as it rolled away. It was really good coffee too, like really good. Damn. The demon dog, Samson, I gathered, woofed and licked my cheek and then scampered off. And to think, I'd liked him on the way over here. Oh my gosh, are you okay? Jody asked. I moaned and lay there another moment, trying to decide if I was hurt or simply mortified, when for the second time that morning, a set of shoes appeared in my line of sight. Black work boots stopped the coffee cup from rolling any farther, and a deep voice said, Samson strike again? I propped myself up on my elbows and followed the boots up a pair of Navy uniform pants to a Navy Fire Department t-shirt tucked into a trim waist, then on up to a blinding white smile and cheerful blue eyes that crinkled at the corners. Something like that, I muttered, pain blooming in my jaw. He held his hand out, his grip warm and certain, as he helped me scramble to my feet. I tried and failed to keep the pain from showing on my face as I straightened. You okay? He asked as he released me. Yeah, I think I am. Mortified, that was the winner. Wait a second, Devin? I finally took a closer look at him, and the realization hit me like a punch. I knew him. Boy, did I ever. I winced, whether from the pain in my face or the memory of the man in front of me. His dark blonde hair was cut close on the sides and back, but a little longer on top. Full lips were tipped into a gorgeous smile, and his eyes still seemed to see right into me, stripping away my defenses the same way they'd always done. I breathed out, Aaron Joseph. He smiled, and it was like being warmed by the sun. Yeah, can't believe you remember me. There was no forgetting him. The man had always affected me. I'd done nothing about it, of course, but there was no denying the pull he'd had on me. I remembered him at Jason's funeral, the way his eyes had burned into me, as though he could unlock my secrets. And I wanted no part of it. I had enough guilt over Jason as it was. Good to see you. I was shocked at how normal my voice sounded. You too. He tucked his hands into his pockets and kept studying me. Jody appeared from my left and shoved a fresh coffee in my hand. Here. I grabbed it, grateful for the distraction, and took a deep sip. Immediately, I had regrets because, of course, it was as hot as the man standing in front of me, and I would not let my face show it. I swallowed, taking the burn down the throat, and tipped the cup at Aaron. Well, I should go. Nice seeing you. You sure you're okay? That was a heck of a tumble you had. Concern knitted his brow, and he reached for my face. Instinctively, I jerked back. No touching, not by him. Absolutely not. He would incinerate me. I'm fine, thank you. He pulled his hand back, 100% professional. Of course, but your chin. I'm sure it's okay, I interrupted. I needed to get out of here immediately, if not sooner. He nodded, his eyes searching mine. Fuck. I turned to Jody. Thanks for the coffee. I'll see you soon. She smiled brightly. Don't let Samson scare you off. I forced a smile and laugh, trying again to hide the wince at the stab of pain that shot through my jaw. I'll do my best. I turned and headed to Gigi's, coffee in hand, and kept my eyes forward. I would not turn around to see if Aaron was still there. By the time the house came into view, which took a little while because my knees definitely did not feel awesome, I felt a bit more like myself. Whatever happened back there was a fluke. It had to be, because no way could Aaron Joseph has affected me like that. It was impossible. That's it.
But that can't be all.
That's all you're getting right now. You got to buy the book if you want more.
You're good. You're good.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Very, very fun. Who has got a question? Any questions for Valerie?
I do.
Karen?
You had some friends in the background while you were reading, 2 dogs,
I do.
which I love. And so I always love hearing, I put pets in all my books. So I love hearing how your pets, I'd love to know how your pets inspire Samson or any other pet.
Oh, yeah. Yes. So, yeah, the great part was that Oreo, who is the little dachshund now here in the corner. I don't know if we can see him. There he is, Oreo. There we go. He's a terror. And he sort of inspired it, but an old friend of mine had Whoa, hello. Hi, somebody okay, there we go. An old friend of mine had a dog who absolutely inspired Samson, and his name was Goat. And Goat, the dog, was hands down the absolute inspiration for Samson. But yeah, I've also got a German Shepherd who's been keeping watch down here on the floor. They're sweet.
Jeanette.
So, Valerie, do you use, and Karen, do you use the pets in your book to be characters? Like, do they serve a purpose, or are they emotional support?
In this book, the Samson in particular is critical to the plot multiple times. I use him a little bit for comedic relief, but also, like, I mean, he literally helps propel the plot forward.
Oh, okay.
And I would say same. I mean, it's always tempting to just have have a character have a pet as just that is part of who they are. But I think that's for good writing, everything has to have a purpose. You can't just so I have actually a Chiweenie in I Want It That Way, which is a Chihuahua Dachshund mix. I've never had a Chiweenie, but I wanted Lucas to have a small dog that was very different from Danny's large Carolina dog. And Peanut definitely furthers the plot in various ways. Various happening. Okay, I'll stop talking.
Holly, you just unmuted. Do you have a question? You have to unmute again because I muted you because it was echoing.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I do actually. Hi, Valerie, we haven't met, but I'm actually one of the people for Probably Smut who read your book. And first of all, it's fantastic. We loved it. Seriously, so much. You said you were planning for it to be part of a series. Do you have an idea of who you want the other books to be for?
Yes. So the second book is going to be Price, who is one of the Joseph brothers. There's Aaron that we just met. Then there's Price, and then the third brother is Will. So the second book is going to be about Price and Jody, who you also just met in here. So Price is a firefighter. He is also a secret romance cover model and underwear model. And so that'll be fun. And Will is my stern daddy who likes order and control. So I can't wait to just completely throw his world upside down. But yeah, it's so much fun. I'm having the most fun with these. You do too, Karen? Yes. Yeah,
Karen has a book about an underwear model for anyone watching the replay and doesn't know what that means. There you go.
I love it.
Yeah, mine is totally inspired by Marky Mark, if anyone is old enough to
Mark
remember.
Wahlberg.
Yeah. Calvin Klein, that whole era.
Oh my God.
Yeah, they were so pretty. So pretty.
I have a question for you. 3 words. Describe your writing process for us, Valerie, in 3 words.
Okay. Plot, pants, repeat. So I plot a good chunk of it, I write it, and then I start to pant, like the characters do whatever the hell they want as I'm writing, despite all of my glorious plot. And so then I will stop, plot some more, and watch whatever they do, and then we'll plot some more. So I have learned that is absolutely the most efficient and true to the book way to write for me.
Very smart. Very, very smart. What about the rest of you? Like, we've got 2 minutes. Actually, yeah, don't forget to put your link in, Valerie. Your book, which, wait a minute, it has released, right? It's it's already out.
Yes. Yeah. It is out.
There you go.
Mine is just the opposite. I pants, then kind of plot that way. And that gives me some direction. And then I can go back and pants again to finish. It's kind of weird, but that's interesting.
No, I love that. Yeah, everyone's got a system that works for them once you figure it out, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely.
Any last questions for any of the 4 authors? I want to.
This was fantastic. Yeah, it's so interesting.
Yeah. Why don't we all come off mute and then just like give someone's waiting to enter. You're a little late, Ben. I'm afraid you're a little late. We can all come off mute and give a big congratulations to everybody. Ready? Everybody off mute and woo, congratulations.
Yay! Congratulations, everyone.
This was awesome.
Thank you for coming.